It's time for your Low Country Real Estate Market Update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Good morning, Charleston. Welcome to another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. I'm your host, Brian Beatty. 8 years I've been on this program, giving you my expert opinion and reviews of the real estate market to help prepare you for the road ahead. Whether you're thinking of buying, selling, investing in real estate, you just like to stay up to date with what's going on in the market and housing in general, this is the show for you. I've been in business for 16 years. I've got a team of 27 folks. We've sold over 1,000 homes here in Charleston. And so I just relay what we learn over the course of time so that for those of you that listen, the more you listen, the smarter you get. And, we, of course, do sell real estate during the week. We'd love the opportunity to earn your business. So if you're thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate, you're welcome to reach out to me personally. My phone number is 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009. You can call or text that number. You can go online and check us out at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or you can always just send me an email, brian@brianbeattyteam.com. So this show is going to take on a little bit of a different tone than I normally do. And I really just want to dedicate an entire show to all of the questions that we're getting right now. And as you listen, you might find things that are applicable. You might find things you already know. Maybe some things you didn't know. But really just to kind of bounce around and go from topic to topic. We've got some questions about the market. We've got questions about the buying process, about the selling process. I don't have them in any particular order because we just printed off the list of questions we got. If you're not interacting with us on Facebook, by the way, just do a search for the Brian Beatty Team on Facebook. We do some great stuff on there, so we'd love to connect with you there. But this is where some of these questions came from, and so we're just going to start there in no particular order. And so the first one is, when my home was on the market. This is from Sally in North Charleston. Sally, thank you, by the way, if you're listening. But she said, when my home was on the market, the majority of agents and buyers seemed like they knew nothing about my house before they came to see it. People kept saying things like, we wanted a master downstairs, or the house was too small, or we didn't like the area. All of these things are things we can't do anything about. Why aren't agents qualifying people before they show homes? This was my biggest frustration with the process. So I'm going to start there because that is a very common frustration that sellers have. Here we are. We've spent all this time and energy and effort and maybe even some money preparing your home for sale. You get a showing request, which you're excited about, but you have to clean up your house. You've got to, maybe throw your kids and a dog or two in the car. You've got to basically disappear for an hour. And so every time we leave the house or we prep for a showing, I mean, it's probably about a 2-hour, maybe even 3 or 4 hour process, depending upon, what condition your home is in that you kind of live in throughout the day. I realize that most people do not live like their home is show ready and ready for the Pope to walk through the front door. So there's effort and there's time and there's a lot of frustration with that because we get it too, and we try as best we can to eliminate things like that from happening because really there isn't much worse than picking up your home, leaving for an hour, driving around, coming back, getting feedback, and then the buyer saying something like, well, the buyers liked the house, but, they were visiting family. They still live in Florida. They're thinking of retiring next year. They'd have to sell their business and then sell their house and then buy yours. And it's just like there's really no reason at all why that showing should have occurred in the first place. And I'll tell you why this is happening. And this has been going on for a number of years. And it's something that we talk about when we sit down with clients. And that is the fact that when, I guess back in the day, quote unquote, when I first got licensed, There was no service that allowed you to kind of coordinate showings efficiently. It was you called the listing agent called the seller called the listing agent, which called the buyer agent, which called the buyer, and we had to do all of that scheduling ourselves. So things have changed. We now have a third-party company that takes care of all of that for us. You simply go online and an agent selects the properties and the dates and the times that they want to see them. That service will then reach out to the sellers. The seller gets a phone call, an email, a text, or a notification in their app, and they confirm it or decline it or reschedule it. But then as soon as that happens, then the agent showing the property receives notification of either showing confirmation or that it was declined or rescheduled, and the showing instructions. So what's really nice about that is that, I don't have to have my phone surgically attached to my face. God forbid I miss a phone call and it's a showing on one of my listings. We use the service for that. But we qualify showings. Now, I will say as a caveat, because this is not applicable to every listing in every situation. Obviously, if a home is vacant, we're not going to spend the time to qualify each showing unless it's one of our high-end listings in which we need to be there personally to show them the property, because nobody wants to waste their time for somebody that's just not ready to buy. But for other properties where, it is a hassle for you to get out of the house, for you to clean it, prep it, and then just kind of disappear for an hour. I wish that we could promise that this happens every time right now, but the reality is on some of our listings, we'll get 30 showing requests in a 24, 48-hour period. And tracking down, we all know how bad agents are about communication in general and the fact that they just don't answer their phone. So getting all of them on the phone to pre-qualify those showings is a severe challenge. It's almost like you can guarantee that it's not going to happen 100% of the time. But what we do is that we have the seller confirm that the date and the time works, and then we call the agent. It's just a double confirmation process. I want to make sure that the people that are walking through the home are in a position to make an offer if they like what they see. I've verified that they're either paying cash or they're pre-approved for a mortgage. And then I have explained some things to them about the property that I think make it unique. The features of the home that I want them to point out to their buyer. And I'm also going to get some information from them. What was it about this home that your buyers were interested in? What's their situation? And I'll tell you, and I know agents listen to the show, and so for those that do listen, kind of the cat's out of the bag, so to speak. But it's part of our confirmation process. So we're not really hiding anything. We ask the questions, and you'd be amazed at the information that some of these agents give us. Basically, we're getting information about the buyer that they shouldn't be divulging. They just sold their home in Atlanta and now they're living in a hotel, or they're staying in a Airbnb, or they've got a place locked up to rent for the next 2 months. But after that, it's going to be a serious challenge for them to find somewhere else to go. And so now we have this information. We know that the buyer's back is against the wall from a timing standpoint. What do you think that does to us in terms of leverage when we're negotiating? It improves it. Had I not asked that question and had we not had that information, we might not have known that. And so, yes, I am providing information so that the showing is more productive, because that's the problem, is the agent that represents the buyer and the agent that represents the seller, they're just not talking to one another anymore before showing. It's either a challenge or an opportunity, depending upon how you look at it. We view it as an opportunity to educate people about our properties before they go and see it, so that the agent can answer the buyer's questions, so that they have knowledge of the property while they're walking through it. But this comment, Sally, is on point. It is a major frustration of sellers, because in the grand scheme of things, anything that an agent can replace with technology or a system that saves them time, that saves them work, effort, they're going to do. We just think it's important that, especially for those that, they've got kids at home or they've got a dog, there's things that have to happen in order for them to leave the house. We want to make sure that the people are there, positioned and ready to make an offer if they like what they see. So that was a great question, or great comment, rather. And, so speaking of pre-approval and just making sure the buyers are ready to buy, I got another question that asked, why are agents so pushy about getting pre-approvals before they'll show me homes? That's a great question. When I'm coaching my agents, one thing that I want to make really clear is that we put ourselves in the shoes of a buyer. So think about this. Think about the last time you bought a car. You pulled up. Somebody's kind of chomping at the bit, ready to introduce themselves to you, maybe even as soon as you're getting out of the car. How do you think that process would have gone if they said, hey, so great to meet you, glad you're here. Tell me what kind of cars you're interested in. You say, shopping for, a Mercedes coupe or sedan or whatever. They'll say, great. Well, I'll tell you what, before we start looking at some cars, why don't we go and have a conversation with my finance manager? Let's pull your credit. And let's see what your finances look like. And then if all that's in line, then we'll go and we'll talk about some cars. We'll go test drive some cars. You would think they're crazy. But we as agents tend to, I think, overvalue our time, if I'm being honest. Now, I get it. If an agent has so many clients right now that they do have to be really picky and choosy with their time, then it's up to them. I mean, they run their business the way they want to run their business. If they're only going to show properties to people that are pre-approved beforehand, so be it. From our perspective, I want you to at least be open to the conversation, but I also want to be realistic about your time frame. So, in other words, we don't require you to get pre-approved to go and see a house, and because other agents are not qualifying their showings, it's pretty easy to get into a house without having to, go through that line of questioning like we put agents through. And there's benefit to that. You actually want to walk through some homes. You want to see if there are some properties that get you excited enough about the process to go and actually buy something. You probably don't want to go through the process of preparing and putting your home on the market if you can't find something to move into. So it makes perfect logical sense that you want to go out and look at some properties first. But I think that if you're in a position where if you see something you like and you want to buy it, you do have to act quickly in this market. There are multiple offers more often than not on properties when they hit the market. So you need to be prepared. You need to have that pre-approval because just like agents are busy, just like everybody in the world is busy right now, so are lenders. And we do a really good job in selecting our lender partners to make sure that they are ready, willing, and able to produce same-day pre-approval letters, sometimes within just an hour. But they can't do that if you haven't been through the process of providing your credit, having them check your credit, providing information on assets and debt, so they can calculate your debt-to-income ratio. So, that's why some agents are getting so pushy about pre-approvals. It's probably because they're either really busy and they don't want to spend their time with somebody that's not serious about the process. But I think everybody has to start somewhere. So we will show properties to folks that are not pre-approved, but at some point in time, it's kind of a necessary evil. So we let you take your time on that. We just don't want, the last thing we want is for you to see something that you love and that you want to do something about, right? You actually want to buy it, but then you miss out because there was too much time that lapsed between the time you said, yep, I'm interested, I want to make an offer, and the time that you actually got a pre-approval letter. Because let's be honest, a seller would have to be an idiot in this kind of a market to take an offer without a pre-approval letter. There are way too many people out there that are spending good money on homes, that are increasing their down payments, that are electing to pay cash to strengthen their offer. Now, again, if you're a seller and you have no other options and you've been on the market for months and this is the first person that showed up, then maybe it's worth the risk. Maybe it's worth the gamble. You always have to be thinking about the opportunity cost, though. So we're going to take a break, but we're going to come back with some more of these questions. We've got several more to go through. And like I mentioned, we're just kind of bouncing around, talking about different things, challenges that people are having in this market, questions and concerns that they have, so that you as a listener are better prepared if you're in a position to buy, sell, or invest in real estate here in the next little while. And if you want to reach out to me, you want to have a conversation off air about your interest in buying or selling or investing in real estate. Yes, there are still investment deals out there, by the way. We'll get to that. Then my number is 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009. Or you can go to listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. in Charleston.com. Stick around, folks, for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Stay tuned for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. 1250 WTMA. Now, here's more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, as the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. I'm, of course, your host, Brian Beatty. Thanks again for joining me this morning. Bit of a different show today. We're just kind of talking through some questions that folks have, things that we've collected either through social media, through some of our posts, or just things that people ask when they're on the phone with us throughout the course of the day as we do our job, to help people buy, sell, and invest in real estate. And we've got some really good and kind of interesting ones. One was from Mark in Mount Pleasant. He said, I tried selling my home for 3 months, didn't sell. How does that happen in a market like this? That's a great question. If you think about it, well, I guess, first of all, there are so many people right now that have had success stories with selling property that now becomes the public's perception of what's going to happen when a property hits the market. Our average days on market still in our market, Tri-County, is about 30 days. And we've had some instances where we've had a home on the market for no more than a week, and the seller's already starting to freak out, thinking that something's majorly wrong. Or maybe they made the wrong decision in hiring us, or whatever the case might be. So I think it's really all about reasonable expectations. Now, why would a home not sell? He didn't leave the address, so tough to say. But when you think about why a property does not sell, it comes down to really 4 things: price, condition, marketing, and the motivation of parties involved. I used to say motivation of the seller, but there's got to be equal motivation, if not more, on the agent side of the equation. And so, price is obviously the easiest to fix, and that's always what agents go to as kind of like the singular tool in their tool belt. They kind of put your home, if you can visualize this, they kind of put your home on a conveyor belt, and it runs on that conveyor belt for about 30 days. And then at the end, you've stopped moving. Your momentum is gone. And now this is for like a standard home in the Charleston area. We're not talking about specialty luxury properties because those take unique buyers and those sometimes take longer to sell. In fact, they almost always do. So after 30 days or so, the market has seen it. They've made a decision about it as to whether they're going to come and view it in person or not, or they're just going to kind of, they either say, yes, I like it, I'm going to go see it. They say, no, I don't like it, I'm not interested. Or they say, that's interesting. I'm going to save this and I'm going to watch this and I'm going to wait for them to make some sort of price adjustment. They kind of straddle the fence. And so that's what most agents do is they say, hey, after 30 days, if we haven't gotten an offer, then we're going to reduce the price. And that's all well and good. And in many instances, the price is wrong. And a lot of sellers don't like hearing that because they think that there should be other things that are causing that home not to sell rather than the asking price. Again, they're kind of right too. It's not a one answer equation. Now, obviously, with condition, we're seeing more and more homes hit the market, and sellers are just deciding not to put in the effort to prepare the home for sale. I've got another question on that, and I'm going to get to that, so I'm going to kind of skip over the condition portion of it. But then it comes to marketing, and here's another question. Marketing is an issue that most agents feel they don't need to do right now because the, quote, home will sell itself, end quote. And so what do most agents do? I mean, really, let's be honest. What do most agents in this market do? They get professional photos taken. They put it on the MLS. Once it's in the MLS, it syndicates to thousands of websites, and then they just wait for it to sell. They don't communicate with other agents. They don't do really any form of proactive marketing. They might do an open house. The results of the open house are going to depend on whether or not they actually market the event, which most agents don't. They're just kind of catching people that are driving around over the weekend and pop in. So it's a very reactive approach to selling property. So if you're overpriced and if you haven't, worked on the condition of your home, and you've got an agent that's basically attached a set it and forget it mentality to your property, and the only time that you really hear from them is when they want a price reduction from you, then obviously that's going to, lead to the last part of the equation here, which is motivation of parties involved. How motivated is that agent really to sell the home if they're not being consistent with their pricing, if they are not advising you on how to sell your home faster or for more money, hopefully both, and they're just not investing into the process to help you sell your property. They're just kind of doing the bare bones. I'll be honest, this is what I think the majority of agents are doing. It's what they've been doing for a long time. It's not like this is anything new. It's just that behavior is being rewarded because the market is so good right now to sellers. So on one hand, you don't necessarily have to go through, all of the things that we go through because our marketing plan is lengthy. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous the amount of stuff that we do when we're marketing our properties. But again, we've got 27 people on our team. We have a lot of homes that we sell. We have a lot of manpower. We have a lot of resources, being time and people and marketing dollars to create just a much bigger wave than what typically happens when a home just gets entered into the MLS and they just hope and pray that somebody goes to one of these websites and your home is in the right place at the right time. There's really nothing that they've done to drive traffic to those sites. They're going there already, and you're just hoping that someone comes along and is looking in that area, in that price range, finds your home, makes an inquiry. You hope that the agent actually answers the phone, which statistics say about 50% of the time they don't. Almost half of all online leads go unresponded to. Don't know if you knew that or not. And then if they do get responded to, the average response time is like 32 hours or 28 hours, something ridiculous. So, you can start to gain a sense for how important it is to work with an agent that knows how to effectively price a property, which there are so many new agents in this market right now, and price is such a moving target that they are really struggling with pricing, which is why you're seeing a lot of these properties hit the market at above market values. And the crazy thing is sellers are getting them. So they don't have to be that good at pricing, which is really a shame because you should be able to sit down with your agent and say, what is my home actually worth? What is the market? What is the data telling you this property will realistically sell for? Because I need to do some planning on my end. I don't want to go through this whole process and select, $600,000 as an asking price if it's going to sell for $540,000. That's a pretty big swing. If you look at the difference between the asking price and the sales price, I'll get some updated numbers for you next week, but pre-COVID, it was like 96%. I think we're closer to 98% now. But if you look in specific categories or submarkets of Charleston, like Isle of Palms, as an example, that difference between list price and ultimate sales price is over 10%. And if you're talking about $1 million, $2 million home, we're talking about, six figures. That's a lot of money. That's pretty far off. What you do need to do, though, is you need to monitor the market and the reaction of the market in response to your value proposition, your listing at that price, in that condition with those features. The question is, how effective is the agent in getting that property in front of as many people as possible that, here's the trick, that are qualified, ready, willing, and able to buy your house. Obviously, it's important that we spread our net incredibly wide because we have folks moving here from all over the world. But we still need to make sure that the people we're talking to and the people that are interested have the ability to do something about it. Having conversations is great. It's the precursor to a sale, but what really matters here, it's the sale. It's getting it done. That's at the end of the day, why people hire us is we're very results based, and our numbers are very attractive when people look at our stats and what we're actually producing in the form of results. But it's because we understand the different strategies involved, which is also, I think, something important to mention just really quickly, which is that, hey, not everybody needs or wants to sell their home in the first 48 hours of it being on the market. Maybe they say, hey, I don't really care how long it takes, but this is the price that I want. Which means you might have to cycle through a few buyers that were willing to pay you slightly less right now to find the person that's willing to pay you a little bit more. We hope that happens sooner rather than later. But of course, the other strategy is, hey, we're ready to sell. We don't really want to play games. We don't want to be on the market for 90 days. We're ready to move. Maybe you found another property that you want to move into. And they're open to a home sale contingency. So they're going to give you some time to sell your home. How do you get that done efficiently? It's really two major schools of thought there. School of thought number one is I'm going to price it at or slightly below what the property's worth. And then I'm going to let buyers fight over it, which is almost always happening in a market like this right now. And really what you're after with that is for buyers to be fighting against one another, and for one buyer to say, all right, you know what? Here, put this number on it. Let's see him beat that. You want to get into the emotions of that competition. You want somebody to make an emotional reaction or an emotional decision. And if they're going to put, kind of a silly number on the contract, all that does is benefit the seller because now we get to sell it for more money. Of course, the other school of thought is, look, we know there are a bunch of buyers out there. I don't want to leave any money on the table. We can always come down. It's really hard for us to increase our asking price. So I know it's worth, let's just use a round number. I know it's worth $500. Let's list it at $549.9. Let's see what happens. And they hit the market. They get some interest, but not as much as they had hoped. And we're 30 days down the road. We're supposed to have gotten, a dozen showings in the first 30 days. We got 4. We're supposed to have X amount of online traffic. Here's what we actually got. We, as agents, my team, we monitor all this stuff. We share these reports with you. We want you to understand where you fit in comparison to the other properties that are on the market or that have recently sold. All that data is really important because they create lines of comparison for us. How is your home doing consistent with the other homes in this area? Are we above average, below average? Are we way off the mark? We want to have conversations about that data. But, when that property first hits the market, you're essentially marketing to two groups of people. Group number one are those people that are in the market right now. They just haven't found what they're looking for yet. Those are the people that swarm your listing. Then you've got all the other people that just enter the market every day. Something has changed in their life. They've made the decision to now buy a house. Well, at some point in time, usually around 30 days, you exhaust that first group of people. And now you're left with everybody that's entering the market that's new. The only way to kind of re-engage group number one, those ready, willing, and able buyers, is to change something about your value proposition, which is mostly the price. You can do things like upgrade the home. Maybe you're trying to get away with selling the property even though the carpets need to be changed. Maybe you change out the carpets. Maybe there's a bunch of handprints all over the place because you've got young kids and your home was nice and freshly painted a year ago, but it just never stays that way because your kids put their hands on everything. I'm speaking from experience because I have a 5 and almost 7-year-old. Maybe you paint the house. I mean, there's all these different directions that you can go, but why would a house not sell in a market like this? Look, nothing is going to, I guess, pull you back more, prevent you from selling than a lazy agent that doesn't give good advice, that is simply there to get a listing. Because listings are so few and far between right now, agents are doing and saying what they need to say in order for you to sign on the dotted line so they have a listing. Even if the price that they suggest is way off the mark because they knew that would be a price that excited you. Even if the home needs a bunch of work, but they decide not to say anything and leads you to believe, you don't need to do a thing. Buyers don't care about any of that stuff. They're just going to buy the house. We have so many people paying cash, blah, blah, blah. Well, you'll soon realize that, yes, those things actually do matter. Not just in terms of whether your home will sell or not, but how much it'll sell for. When an agent does a really good job with pricing, condition, and marketing, you create urgency among buyers, which is what causes that home to sell for more money. I don't think you can argue that point. So agents that have figured that out and that have tried and true methods for getting that done are the ones that are performing above the rest of the agents in this market. I'm happy to say that my team is one of them. If that's something we can help you with, if you're thinking about selling, buying, investing, you've got questions, you just want to have kind of a precursory conversation, feel free to give me a call, 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009. Or check us out online, listingsincharleston.com. Stick around, folks, for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Broadcast Saturday mornings at 9 and Sunday mornings at 10 on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
1250 WTMA, the Big Talker.
You're listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Welcome back, folks, as the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. I always like to take just a moment and say how much I appreciate those of you that listen to this program. We've had an awesome run on WTMA, 8 years doing this program. We will continue to do it. We love doing it. We appreciate those of you that reach out with questions, and we've had some very nice compliments from some folks recently, so thank you for that. But keep those questions coming. You know, that we are not just here. Our sole purpose is not to just educate you on this program and then try and help you buy and sell or invest in real estate. We're just here to be a help to you, housing related. So maybe that means you need a good contractor, or maybe you just want information on a particular process. I mean, there's no obligation, really. Just call me and I am happy to help. 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009. Or go to listingsincharleston.com. There's a lot of great stuff on there, by the way. We continue to improve that website. You've got, I think, hundreds of videos of this radio show. Some great topics on there. Search the MLS, find out how much your home is worth, find out how many buyers we have for your house right now. We've got that technology consumer facing now. So you can literally go on there, find out how much your home is worth, and then find out how many buyers in our own personal database are a match to your home. It's pretty sweet. So listingsincharleston.com. You can also learn more about our guarantees. Our newest and I think most interesting one for folks is that if we don't sell your home in 30 days or less, we'll sell it for free. So find out more at listingsincharleston.com. All right, moving on to another question. This is a good one. We're starting to get this a lot. Actually, we've been getting this for the past at least 6 months. And the question is, should I take a break from buying right now because this market is so hot? You know, should I wait for the market to cool down before I buy something? The answer to that is it depends. And really, it depends on how long you plan on staying in that house. Personally, I think that our market is due for a correction probably sometime in the next 12 to 18 months. And we don't have enough time on this particular program to go into all the reasons why I feel that way. It's on our website. We did a whole show on it, basically, listingsincharleston.com. Just click on radio show. You'll get my opinion on where this market is headed. But if you're only going to own a home for like 2 years, I probably wouldn't buy, because I think there's too much of an element of risk there. I don't think you're going to ultimately make as much money as people might lead you to believe you're going to make in the form of appreciation, because I think things are going to continue to go up for a while. You know, just in broad strokes opinion of the market, things are going to continue to go up for a while. Inventory is continuing to remain at just dangerously low levels. And there's not a lot that's going to fix that immediately, but you will start to see more inventory hit the market. I think that is going to continue to increase over time as the market returns to some normalcy and some balance. So for the person that's out there, they're thinking they're going to buy, and they know it's not their forever home. Hey, basically the question is, should I buy something right now and then sell it in like a year or two and just put that extra cash in the bank in the form of appreciation and then move on to the next one? Look, that is a strategy that people have used in the past. You think about contractors that buy a house, they live in it, they fix it up, and 2 years later they sell it. That strategy can work. You got to remember, though, that they're doing their own work to their house. They're not paying retail prices for contractors. And there was a home with an opportunity to create equity. If you're buying a home that's already done, there are plenty of stories of people buying something a year or two ago and then selling it for 20+% more than what they bought it for. The question is that going to then repeat itself here in the next 12 to 24 months? Personally, I don't think so. Not nearly at the same pace that we've been growing over the past 12 so months. So if you're not going to stay in it for 2 years, no, I would not. That's my honest answer. If you're going to be in there for more than 2 years, then yes, you have the ability to let time basically assist in the finances of the property. Your property is going to be paid down a little bit more. We have a lot of military buyers that move to Charleston, and a lot of folks in the military buy wherever they go. We've got some friends that are they're not in the military anymore, but man, they move more than anyone I have ever met, like almost once a year, and they buy a home everywhere they go. Now they've got like 4 homes that they've got rented out. Now, it's worked out fairly well for them because they've been really intelligent about what they buy and where they buy. But for the typical buyer that is trying to time the market, we're not going to know that the market has peaked until it starts to go down, because real estate and the data associated with it are lagging indicators of the economy. So I think it's really hard to time the market. Now, if you're going to buy, and it's the difference between buying now and say like 6 months from now. We actually had this happen shortly ago where a buyer missed out on a few multiple offer situations. They got disheartened. They're irritated. They said, you know what? I'm going to take a few months off. I'm going to take 4 to 6 months off. This is frustrating. And I understand that frustration. It's an emotional process. In reality, after talking through it with them, they're still going to buy. They're still going to buy now. We just need to find them the right place, which is a challenge every agent has right now, finding the right place for the right buyer. And we've got some really cool tools and techniques that help us identify things that are not on the market for folks. But if it's the difference between buying right now and buying 6 months from now, I'd buy now, because I think in the short term, prices are going to continue to go up, and I think interest rates are going to go up. I mean, they've said as much, which, God, that is such a conflicting segment of just what we do to give advice on or to provide opinion on, because everybody has a different opinion on where interest rates are going. Seems like now they're going to go up toward the end of the year. I'm hearing things like 3 3/4, 3.8, somewhere around there. So if you wait, especially if you're kind of in that entry-level market right now, by waiting, not only will that property become more expensive, not only will you be paying more through an increase in interest rate, but now you're looking at homes that are smaller, homes that have less features. And if you're already not thrilled with what's out there, but you can make it work, I think the longer you wait, the further away that goal is. I think you're hurting yourself if you just decide, you know what, I'm going to buy. I can buy right now, but I'm just going to take a few months off. So that's how I'd answer that. I'm going to take another quick break, and when we come back, I've got a few more questions I want to get to, and I'm going to kind of go rapid fire on these. So stick around for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Visit Brian Beatty's website at listingsincharleston.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues next on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
1250 WTMA.
Now, the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues on Charleston's Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back to the last few minutes of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. So I've got maybe time for two more questions. The first question that was asked is something that we have gotten for years, which is, I want to buy another house, but I need to sell my home first. In a market like this, where sellers are not very open to home sale contingent-based offers, how do I get this done? Do I just put my home on the market and then accept an offer and then go and try and find a home in time? Seems like a good recipe for being homeless. I'll tell you this. In the 16 years and 1,000-plus transactions that we've done, I have never made somebody homeless. Very proud of that. That shouldn't really be something you beat your chest over. That's our job, to not make people homeless. But there are a few options here. And so I just want to very quickly go through those. First of all, yes, sellers are very reluctant to accept a home sale contingency on an offer to purchase their property. Because they want to sell it now. They don't want to have to create this domino effect where the sale of their home is contingent upon the sale of your home and anything that might go wrong with that transaction that they have no control over. Which is, it's perfectly reasonable. It doesn't really help the buyer, though, because they financially need to sell their home in order to buy something else. So bridge loans are available. We have a guarantee on our team, a program, if you will, where we will align you with the ability to pay cash for that property. You're essentially getting a very small, you're getting the ability to pay cash for a property for a very small fee in the grand scheme of things. That fee is just so you know, that fee is between 1% and 2% of the purchase price of the new house. This company will buy it for you. You then rent it from them. And then when your home sells, just like you were going to buy this other property, you then buy it from the company and they refinance it for you. It's a pretty beautiful option for folks that need to sell before they buy. So you don't even have a home sale contingency in your offer. You're a cash buyer. Now, if you can get your home sold before you're supposed to buy the home, then you just use the proceeds from the sale to buy it. Nothing's forcing you to use the program, but it is like the ultimate safety net. We've had a lot of folks use it that are very, very happy with it. So that's an option. The other option is, look, if you're a seller in this market, you've got a lot of power right now. You get to call the shots. Remember, several years ago, 10 years ago, it was the complete opposite. It was a buyer's market. Hey, you're going to take my low offer and give it consideration, because if you don't, I've got 4 other people on your street that I could go and buy from. They held the power. Now the sellers hold the power. At some point, that pendulum will swing to the other side, but not right now. So we need to be realistic about how we're competing in this market. So the other option here, which I'm still not seeing a lot of, and it just blows my mind, is put the property on the market, and then if you receive an offer, negotiate a certain amount of time for you to go and find a replacement property. Give me 2 weeks, give me 15 days, give me 30 days, whatever you can get the buyer to agree to go and shop for a new home and put that under contract. Now, from the seller's perspective of the home that you're trying to purchase, it's almost like it's a done deal. You just need to find something else to buy. And for whatever reason, I don't see listings with that language. And it seems like a pretty attractive option for sellers. We've done it, and it's worked very, very well for us because it accomplishes us getting the ball rolling on that process. So if you'd like more information on that, we're out of time. I've got so many more questions I could go through, but I'm out of time. So we're going to cut it a little short. I'll spill some of these over into the weeks to come. But if you'd like to reach out to me, 843-400-8009 is my number. Call or text me, 843-400-8009, or check us out online at listingsincharleston.com. Charleston.com. Thanks a lot. Enjoy your weekend, and thanks for listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show next Saturday morning at 9 and Sunday morning at 10. Contact Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009.